Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Terrorists! Terrorize this.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
The Symphony of Destruction, the Rats being led by the Pied Piper. It's kind of what I felt like this weekend. Anyways, we'll get to that. Greetings, free thinkers, revolutionaries, humanists, and agent provocateurs. Yes, we know you're out there. It's Monday, October 3rd, 2011. You have found yourself slack-jawed, hornswoggled, and bamboozled here on the front lines in our humanity. I'm your host, Darren Stone, broadcasting you live from FEMA Region 1 and fresh off the front lines in New York City at the occupation of Wall Street. All right. Let's sit down and have some storytelling, shall we? All right. So, as you all may have know by now, myself, Jules from Radio X, and the builder of my website and YouTube page and all-around good person, and our friend JJ, James Freeland from the Against the Wall show on the Orion Talk Radio Network. We all took a trip down to the occupation of Wall Street this weekend. It was an adventure, I'll say. Maybe it seemed adventurous because I don't venture out that much, but regardless, it was an adventure for me. It was strange, people. That's all I have to say. And as the three of us left on our 5-hour journey back to Syracuse from New York City, we were discussing what we had seen, experienced, and I'm not quite sure if all of us came to a solid conclusion about what we saw. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. And guys, let me just say this right off the bat: I am completely shot mentally right now. I am tired and a little bit out of it, so I'm going to do my best. I really am excited to do this show because I want to tell you what we experienced down there and what my personal view and opinion on it is. So I you know me, I tend to forget things in midstream, but I'll do my best. I'm not sure if we really figured it out. I think we're in the process of trying to do that right now. But let me start at the beginning. All right. We got there. This was after about 3 hours sleep. I was up for about 24 hours. I slept for 3 to 4 hours, got up, and headed to the occupation of Wall Street. So if any of you watched the live streaming video that I was putting out on Ustream If I seemed a little punchy, a little out of it, if I wasn't as thorough, that's why. I was a little sleep deprivation there. But if you want to check out those videos, by the way, if you go to the Front's website, frontradio.net, right on the top right-hand side on the home page there, you can see a link and an actual video of some of the streaming stuff that I took, and that will bring you to Ustream, ustream.com. And if you go to ustream.com, you just search Front Stream on Ustream. But you can grab that Front Stream link right off the Front's website, right in the top right corner there. So we got there. We got to what they call Liberty Plaza at about, I'd say about 11. I think it was about 11, 10, 11, maybe 10, 10:30, somewhere in there. And funny, we walked out of the subway, and as we came out of the subway, what was right there in front of us was Ground Zero, 9/11, Ground Zero, and the new Freedom Tower that was being built. I mean, people look at instantly. When you walk out and you gaze upon its magnificence, the one thing you definitely feel is freedom. I'm being completely sarcastic. It looks like a big glass building like all the other glass buildings around it. I'm sure it'll bring Mr. Silverstein hefty profits from rental from leases in that building. It's not going to provide us with any more freedom. So anyway, being sarcastic on the whole Freedom Tower, it's just absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and anybody who pays homage to a big glass building is a complete buffoon. Sorry, my own personal opinion. But anyway, so we come out of the subway, there's Freedom Tower. We ask a few people, where's the shindig going on? They point us down the street, and we stroll over to Liberty Plaza. And there was, I would say, a few hundred people there. These are the people that have been camping there for 2 weeks. Liberty Plaza is kind of small. Dimensions I can't really give you. There's so many people packed into a small area. But it reminded me of, any kind of concert you go to or outside festival or something like that. Good vibe. People were very friendly, very nice. And the reason that I wanted to go, I can't speak for Jules or JJ. The reason I wanted to go is because I wanted to get a firsthand perspective on what this was. I was tired of looking at YouTube videos and taking other people's opinion on it who hadn't been there. And I was pretty much sick and tired of, mainstream not covering it and supposed alternative radio show hosts like Alex Jones not even mentioning it. I was just tired of it. So I wanted to go see. And we were all pleasantly surprised when we got there. I'm pretty sure these two were. I was. People were nice. There was a big variety of people there. Not just the. If you guys listened to the show last week, I was talking about the occupation of Wall Street and how it appeared that what the media was showing you when they would show you something was a bunch of pardon me, I look like a dirty hippie. Okay, I do. But it looked as though, as the media was showing, just a bunch of dirty hippies hanging around, and that really didn't leave any validation to the movement. I'm sorry, but to a guy who works 40 hours a week and has short hair and drinks Budweiser and watches football and has no clue, he's not going to take anything seriously. And not that he has to, but I'm just talking about the average American person. They're not going to take anything seriously when they see a bunch of long-haired freaks, dirty-looking people, beating drums and spinning around in the street with a tambourine. Sorry, that's not me. I'm just saying how the average person would take it. So I wanted to see if there's something more to it, and there was. If you guys looked at some of the Ustream footage I was putting out, you saw some of the different people that I interviewed. I interviewed two old ladies. They were in their 80s. They were from. They had a little group called Grandmothers Against the Wars. These ladies were very, very nice. Barbara and I cannot remember the other one's name. Both in their early 80s, and they said that they've been part of a group that's been holding a vigil outside Rockefeller Center for the last 5 years. 5 years protesting against the Middle East wars. And I asked these ladies if I asked them who they voted for in the last election. They said Barack Obama. I told them I did too. And they said, I asked them, and I think this is in my Ustream stuff. Like I said, you guys, I'm kind of shot, but I think it's in there. And I'll be putting up some more interview videos up on the Front's website and Facebook page this week as I get to it. But I asked them, as Barack Obama enters his fourth year in his term, how do you feel? Are you disappointed? And they both said very, very disappointed. And by the way, one of these women was black and one of these women was white. And they both said they were very disappointed. And I said, well, I am too. And do you feel that at this point, after seeing what's unraveled in this Democratic White House over the last 3 years, in comparison to the previous administration, do you feel that there's any difference between the two parties at this point? And they both shook their head and said, no, I don't really think there is a difference. And that to me was awesome. Not that I want there to be no difference. Look, I wish everything was like it was told to us, but it's not. So we have to grow up and just move on. Okay. So that was refreshing to me. Although you could see the disappointment in their eyes and kind of the kind of what do we do about it kind of thing. But at least they were out there. And they also told me that they were expecting Charlie Rangel to show up, Congressman Charlie Rangel. And is he a congressman or a representative? I don't remember. But I asked them, why would Charlie Rangel show up here? And they said, because we asked him to. And I said, well, have you worked with him? Or how do you know him? And one of the ladies said, I worked, for his campaign. And he said that he would be here. And they said, well, I hope we don't miss him. And I said, well, I don't think you'll miss him. He'll be the tan one with, and he'll pull up in his big car with the ray of light shining down from the heavens on it. So I'm sure that you won't miss him. And I didn't see those ladies after that. But I did read that, or someone told me that Charlie Rangel actually did show up there. But I haven't had a chance to look into that. So that was one small group of people I interviewed. I interviewed two women, I'd say late 40s, mid 50s from Ohio. They worked in the education system in Ohio, and they were both out of work. And I talked to them. And unfortunately, I did look at that interview I did with them on Ustream, and there was so much background noise, you really can't even hear what these two ladies are saying, which I was really disappointed in, because they were there for the same reasons I was there. They wanted to go down and see if there was, middle class America being represented, middle class, and the age group of, say, 35 to 55 being represented. And they felt the same as I did. It would add validity to the movement. So because that would cover all aspects of our society, or the majority, of age group and incomes. So that's why they were there, and they were very happy with the types of people they saw there. It's not, and when I say this, you guys, please don't take it as though I'm putting any group of people down. No, I was just trying to get a sense of who was pushing this thing and who was being represented. And so, like I said, I was very happy. I was not disappointed. And this was in the beginning part of the day. And if you saw on the live stream, I made my way through Liberty Park, and I focused the camera on a piece of cardboard with the itinerary for the day written out. And at 3:00, they had planned the march, which is, I guess, the big highlight of the protest. So my cohorts and I decided to take a stroll down to Wall Street and check it out while we were waiting for the march. And this was earlier in the day. So we took a stroll down to Wall Street, and I got to tell you, Wall Street was dead. There was nobody on it, some tourists, and a few cops, kind of sporadically sprinkled through the blocks of Wall Street. Not a police force at it by any means, just a few people here and there. But there was a ton of metal barricades in the streets, between the streets and the sidewalks. So it looked to us as though they had prepared for a march or an occupation of the Wall Street district. And we had assumed that this is where the march would be going, or this is the occupation would start to fill these streets up, as the day went on. Well, that's okay. So the day goes on. And like I said, in Liberty Plaza, the heart of this occupation, there was a few hundred people there. At about, I'd say 2:15, I had to charge up my phone so I could have enough battery to live stream the actual march when things started to get a little hairy, or when we thought things would start getting hairy down there. And so we went into a Starbucks. I bought a $5 cookie so we could hang out in there and charge my phone. But being out of sorts that I was, I didn't quite plug my phone in enough, and the thing never charged. So it was a big waste of time and $5 on a cookie. So at about, I guess about 2:45, maybe 3, maybe a little after 3, I'm not quite sure, we noticed a van full of police officers parked outside the Starbucks. Now, let me tell you guys, there was a large show of police force there. When we arrived in the morning, the side street along Liberty Plaza was lined with police vehicles, police scooters. Yes, police ride around on little white scooters. And I thought that was a lot of cops. That was nothing. As the day progressed, the amount of police that showed up was a lot. There was a lot of police. We noticed, let me tell you about some police activity that we noticed. We saw a few vans as we were walking through the city. These large cargo vans filled with I'd say about 15 police officers to each van. And they were just sitting on the sides of the road, all packed into these vans. And these guys sat in these vans for quite a while. I mean, I think we passed one van a couple times within a 2-hour time span, and they were still sitting in this van. And it looked, the one thing I thought was, cage up the animals and let them out when it's time for them to go feed. Hey, look at just what is going around in my brain while I'm looking at this stuff. So back to Starbucks. Oh, I also saw police asking somebody what they were taking pictures of, and the cops made the person show him all the pictures that were on his camera. This was right next to the WikiLeaks truck. If you guys noticed any of the picture I put up of me standing in front of the WikiLeaks truck at Liberty Plaza, which in itself was kind of silly because if you all remember, Napolitano, Janet, came out a few months ago and did a press conference and said how oh, yes, thank you. Jules just put up a link in the chat room to a picture of one of these vans filled with cops, so you guys can check it out. I'm not lying. All this stuff is true, everything we saw. Janet Napolitano came out and said that WikiLeaks was a threat to national security. Remember, the government was going to go after WikiLeaks and all this stuff. And here's WikiLeaks parked right in downtown Manhattan, surrounded by NYPD. And I just thought it was pretty comical because you guys know what I think of WikiLeaks. I think it's a crock of shit. There you go. You want to know where WikiLeaks is? You want to shut them down? DHS, here they are right there. Go get them. Obviously, they didn't get them. And the funny thing about this WikiLeaks truck was, I don't know what the truck was doing there, but the back, it was a cargo truck. The back of the truck was open. And there was a guy just kicked back in there in a lounge chair. It actually, from what I remember, looked like a little apartment set up back there. But don't hold me to that. I was a little punchy. But he was definitely kicked back in a comfortable chair in the back of the truck. Didn't look like he was doing much, that's for sure. But anyway, so we were sitting in the Starbucks. We noticed the van full of police outside, and we noticed them getting out. And they were getting out, and I think my friends can attest to this. They got out, and they looked like they were ready to take care of some business. So we thought to ourselves, all right, maybe the march must be starting. So we left the Starbucks, went back down to Liberty Plaza. It was just a couple, I'd say maybe 100 feet down from the door of Starbucks. And the crowd had gone from a few hundred to probably around 4,000 people, maybe more, maybe a little less. I don't really know, but the crowd got much, much bigger very, very, very quickly. So within less than an hour, it swelled up from a few hundred people to a few thousand people. Yes, the police did have their clubs out. Thank you, Jules, in chat. Yes, they did. Like I said, they got out of the van looking like they were going to take care of some business. So as the crowd had swelled out, the police force had definitely increased also. Now, what the police were doing was along the sidewalk. They were standing about 2 feet off the edge of the sidewalk in the street, facing the sidewalk. And it was pretty much, I'd say there was maybe 2-3 feet, maybe 4 feet in between each cop. They lined the entire street, okay, as far as you could see. Now, as the march is getting ready to go, you can feel the crowd getting riled up. I don't know who led this march, meaning I don't know who was in the front of it. Okay, so the march starts. Well, the march, okay, when you're standing in Liberty Plaza and you're looking at the street, if you go to the right, Wall Street is to the right. If you go to the left, I had no idea what was to the left because I'm not from New York, okay? So the march leaves and takes a left. So I'm thinking, all right, it's blocks, it's a grid pattern. You know, we're going to walk down this street and we're probably going to bang a right at some important street that these guys want to go down for whatever reason. Maybe there's, a bank on that street. I don't know, but I'm in the crowd. Jules is in the crowd. Jay-Z is in the crowd. We're all together walking. The wrong way. Okay. I didn't know it was the wrong way at this point, but just let me say, Jules, if you have the desire to call in and correct me on anything or add anything, and please feel free. I was going to ask you before the show, so you don't have to. I know you're probably tired too, but if you want to, please feel free. So we're walking down, and I would say the majority of the police didn't look all that friendly. Okay, I'll just leave that there for now. And we're walking and we're hearing the normal chants. They got bailed out, we got sold out. It was a crowd favorite. That's what was the primary repeating phrase. I'd say there was some decent support from onlookers at some times. Sometimes people who looked wealthy when they drove by gave us dirty looks. Some people in general gave us dirty looks. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I just look at people like that and they don't really understand what's happening, or maybe we inconvenience them, and I'm sorry about that. But so we're walking. I say maybe we walked a mile, maybe it was a mile, maybe it just seemed like a mile. I'm not quite sure. But as we're walking down the sidewalk, there were some people hanging off of buildings, and they were counting the people in the protest as they walked by. Somebody screamed out as we walked by, 820. So we were about 820 people back from the front of the line, and behind us was the vast majority of the march. So we were kind of up in the front, I'd say, quarter, the front, 1/4 of the march. We were in the front section there. So we're walking. Cops blocked traffic for us to cross the street. And then as we cross the street, we're meandering around and we're entering a park kind of area. And I see a big bridge. And I ask somebody next to me, hey, what's that bridge? And they say, it's the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. At this point, I still didn't know where we were going. But now I know there's a river in the way if we were going to bang a right at any point. So I start to see that people start to walk up the bridge. Well, we all decided that, Tactics 101, you always need to understand where your escape routes are. And when you go onto a bridge, obviously, you're cut down to 2 escape routes, probably 1 if there's an enemy on either side. Okay? And I also remembered right away the bridge incident during Katrina in New Orleans, where the police shot people on the bridge. Unarmed civilians were shot on the bridge because the police would not allow them to cross into New Orleans. These were people that were starving, dying of dehydration, had injuries, had little children, and the police shot at them and killed some. You can go Google that and you'll find it all came to fruition a few years later. People were held responsible. The cops that did the shooting, probably following orders. Hey, but look, that doesn't excuse them. If I was a cop and I was given orders to shoot, civilians, I wouldn't do it. So anyway, so we all decided we're definitely not going over the bridge. Excellent choice. So we kind of backed out of the crowd and kind of sat back in this little park area. And let me tell you something. I don't have television, okay? So I haven't seen what Fox News, what CNN is putting out there, okay? But I've heard. I haven't seen it, but I've heard. And I've heard that it's kind of a portrayal on the bridge of the protesters getting out of hand on the bridge. That may happen. That may have happened, may not have happened, okay? And I'm going to explain all this. But what did happen, no matter what anybody tells you, is those police allowed the march, actually escorted the march onto the bridge. As a matter of fact, they actually stopped traffic so the march could go on to the bridge. All right? So it wasn't like the protesters took the bridge and the cops had to run up there and stop it. No, the cops allowed them to go onto the bridge. Again, big red flags for me, all right? Because if I'm a cop and I'm trying to keep the city, orderly, again, having a massive protest occupy a bridge is going to only impede traffic on the bridge. And that's not going to keep order and, allow people to get where they need to go. So I don't know. They allowed the people on the bridge. No matter what you're hearing, I was standing right there. Jules was standing right there. JJ was standing right there. We saw it, okay? And here's the other thing. The police presence at the entrance to that bridge, all right? Now, let me try to paint a good picture of this. We were walking towards the bridge. If you're staring at the entrance to the bridge, the protest was entering from the right-hand side of the bridge, walking up the bridge. On the left-hand side of the bridge, down the street from the bridge, massive police presence. All police buses, vans, mounted police. We also noticed, not in this area, but a mobile command center was also dispatched. After we had left the protest, we saw a few large white police buses that they use for rounding up a lot of people parked nearby. But let me get back to the bridge incident. So the cops allowed the protesters on the bridge. Actually, it looked like they said, it looked to me as though they were going, go ahead, go right on, go ahead, go. Now, the protesters got pretty far up onto the bridge, out of sight for the naked eye. I happen to have some binoculars in my backpack, so I pulled those out, and we were looking at them, looking through them up on the bridge, and we could see how the crowd was kind of stopped on the bridge. And it appeared as though there was a barrier where they could not go through any longer. Now, I couldn't see this, okay? So I'm only guessing here. And I haven't looked at a ton of video that's been released from the bridge incident. I've looked at some. But it appears to me, Jules just throw up another link in chat. Yes. All right. The picture I took, or I don't know if I took this one. I don't know. One of us took this picture from the entrance to the bridge. So you can clearly see the amount of people being led onto the bridge. Okay? As a matter of fact, in this picture, I don't even see any police. Yes, I do see police. I see them kind of midway up through the picture. Anyway. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, it appeared as though they had been stopped by something. Oh, that picture was taken by JJ. All right. It appeared that they had been stopped by something as they got up the bridge. Now, I think I recall hearing someone in the crowd saying that the cops had put that orange netting across. Now, when you go look at some of these videos, okay, of the police supposedly warning the protesters to get out of the street or they'd be arrested, let me tell you, I saw a few of the white shirt commanders, the police commanders, with their bullhorns. I can tell you, yes, they were speaking to the crowd through bullhorns, but I can also tell you they certainly weren't making a great effort to project their voice out so all could hear. It appeared to me as though they were just saying it. So they said it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so bases were covered. That's what it appeared like to me. They weren't yelling into the bullhorn so that thousands of people could hear them give a warning. All right? It's my own observation. You can take it any way you want to. So, no, they didn't give a warning that there was orange netting at the end of the bridge. They just, according to the video I saw, they said, get out of the streets, we're going to arrest you. Now, understand this. They allowed the protesters to walk up on the street. Okay? There was so many people that they allowed on the bridge, there was no way people couldn't be in the street. And, like I said, the police presence at the base, at the entrance to this bridge was the largest police presence that we had seen up until this point. Now, why would that be if this was supposed to be a march on Wall Street? So this is my take on this, okay? When we got there that day, the people that were there were true. They were real, and they were peacefully demonstrating, peacefully protesting, and trying to make their voice heard and trying to educate anybody that would listen. I have a bunch of propaganda here that was being handed out in the crowd, so I'm going to read some of this to you guys. But they appeared to be the real deal. Now, when the crowd swelled up, there was, in my opinion, that is when the whole march got co-opted. That's when it got subverted. That's when it got, I don't know, you guys. My whole take on this thing is very odd. To me, the entire thing was a setup from the get-go. When we were marching in there, I turned to my friends and I said, I'm feeling pretty sheepalish right now. I didn't like the feeling of marching blindly with the herd. It didn't feel right to me. All right? And after seeing what I saw, the only conclusion I can come to is that it was a setup from the get-go. Why does an occupation of Wall Street march with a few thousand people walk the opposite way of Wall Street and try to head into Brooklyn, where the police were all waiting in force? What was that? It certainly wasn't an occupation of Wall Street. That crowd didn't go anywhere near Wall Street. All right? Then, as the arrests started, okay, because it traveled back through the crowd that's what was going on up there. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here. When the police decided they had enough fish in the barrel up on the bridge, we saw a very large number of police on foot come up behind all the protesters. So they were trapped. The protesters got trapped, okay? In all honesty, like a bunch of boneheads. All right? I mean, really. Understand, you got to know your history. You got to know some tactics if you're going to go in here against law enforcement. And these people, I believe there's probably a large number of these people that had no clue what was going on. But I would really, really highly doubt that the people that led everybody up onto that bridge knew. I would highly doubt that they didn't know exactly what was going on. Yes, excellent comment, Jules. Thank you. All the paddy wagons came whipping out from under the bridge. All of this stuff was set up. All right? Now, logistically, the police would not have all this manpower at the bridge, right, unless this is what they were expecting. I heard no mention of a march to the bridge the entire time I was hanging out in Liberty Plaza all day. I heard no mention of that. So, what happened? Here's what I think exactly happened. I think, like I said, that the people that were camping there were the real protesters. They were the real demonstrators. They were the real Americans there. Okay? Regular, normal people lost their jobs, lost their entire ability to work due to a dying industry in this country. I never, not once, did I ever get the impression that it was a bunch of lazy welfare recipients wanting handouts. Like I see a lot of people commenting on threads on the internet. I never got that impression at all. If anything, I got the impression that the young people there were college kids that had nowhere to put their education, that they had no opportunity, or realized they were not going to have any opportunity. I mean, that was about the closest thing. I mean, that wasn't even close. So, no, there was none of that. I never got that impression that there was a bunch of lazy people that didn't want to go to work. I read on a thread today, some guy made a comment, well, if these people had a job, these lazy people had a job to go to on Monday, they wouldn't bother being there. Listen, pal, I got a job on Monday. It was a Saturday, number one, you bozo, okay? But number two, I have a job on Monday, and I came back and I did it. So I was there. Anyway. So I never got that impression. Then when the crowd swelled, I believe that the majority or a large number, not the majority, but a large number of the people that showed up under orders from some organization to lead this march right into this trap, to sell this whole occupation of Wall Street as a bunch of derelicts and anarchists, okay? Because that's kind of what you see on the bridge, or what I saw on the bridge. Now, the other thing is, where's all that footage on the bridge coming from? How did those people know those protesters were going to be there? Because understand, we were there all day. I didn't see a whole lot of people with, television video cameras marching with the crowd, suddenly realizing there's arrests going on and they've been trapped and getting the footage. No. If you notice, most of the footage on the bridge is coming from up above on the walkway. It appears to me these people must have expected it to be there and were there just ahead of the crowd, or right ahead of the crowd, or along with the crowd. Okay? But I never saw, not one, I didn't see any Fox News cameras. I didn't see any CNN news cameras, no MSNBC, no Russia Today, no We Are Change. I didn't see anything. The closest thing that we saw to any mainstream television camera there was some Chinese news network. That was the closest thing we saw. And a bunch of independent people like us. That's it. So something happened yesterday. Something happened, and it was very, very strange, and the entire thing was a trap and a setup. Now, how could that be? Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but on Friday, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank donated $4 million to the NYPD. Okay? And then this happens to the occupation on Wall Street on Saturday. The other thing, and Jules pointed this out, she's very astute, I have to say. She pointed this out. There was a big group with yellow signs. If you look in some of my pictures and some of the other pictures from people that day on Jules' page, JJ's page, the Orion Talk Radio Network Facebook page. Check that out, people. Orion Talk Radio Network on Facebook. Jules posted a lot of stuff from our trip there. You'll see these yellow signs with very, very professional-looking signs. The other thing is, by the way, the color yellow attracts the human eye first. Okay, so your eye is drawn to anything yellow. So these signs were not yellow by accident. Jules happened to notice a website printed on the signs. She sent me a link to the website. The website is a Socialist Party website. All right. Now, there's a rumor floating around that George Soros is behind this whole occupation of Wall Street movement, which would be a typical Soros move. Now, listen, when I say George Soros, please, I don't want to sound like Glenn Beck saying George Soros is the head of the New World Order. He is not, okay? He just is a soldier that controls one wing of the New World Order's, how can we say it? I guess the left, the environmental armies, the green movements, the socialist movements. Okay, his teams will infiltrate, different movements like this one, co-opt them, and lead them to where they want them to go and use them for their own agenda. Okay, which was, in my opinion, was to make this look as ridiculous as possible. That being said, the OccupyWallStreet.org website, Jules did a Who Is search on that, and it happens to be owned by, oh boy, I'm going to space out on Add something. What is it? Hold on here. It's a company you've heard of before. Let me get this here. Sorry, guys, I'm a little shot here. Adbusters. Okay, if you could do a Google search on Adbusters, they're a Canadian organization, and it appears. Now you think about it. Why would a Canadian organization be starting OccupyWallStreet.org? Why wouldn't a Canadian organization be starting whatever Canada's version of Wall Street is up there, Occupation.org? So, although I can never prove that George Soros is behind this, or the socialist left is behind this, I can't. It just has their fingerprints all over it. Now, don't worry, it's going to get a little stickier here and this is all my own opinion, all right? But, again, we were there. So we have on Friday J.P. Morgan Chase donating $4 million. We have a Canadian Adbusters company, and if you look at the owners of the company, they're Jewish, okay? Now, I'm not a racist. I'm not anti-Jew or anything like that. I have Jewish people in my family. My very first girlfriend was Jewish, okay? I have nothing against Jewish people at all, okay? But a lot of times Zionism is part of that. Now, I've gone into this, and I don't want to get any hate mail saying I don't like Jewish people, because it's not fucking true, so don't get on my ass about that, okay? Don't get on my ass about that. It has to do with Zionism, all right? As I played on this show before, Joe Biden admits he's a Zionist, okay? You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist, but a lot of Jewish people are Zionists, okay? A lot of powerful Jews in media and banking are Zionists, all right? And I'm not going to get into explaining that to everybody tonight. You go do your own research on Zionism and figure it out. Go read the Protocols of Zion, okay? About 65 pages, 60-something pages if you find the right version of it. That'll explain it all to you. Yes, I know, that's been debunked. I know, people can say that, whatever. Anyway, just read it. It's all come true. So, but anyway. Now, what am I getting at with this? Are you guys out there thinking that I don't support this? That's not true. I do support this because, like I said, I have footage of good people down there with good hearts, good intentions. But what I came away with is this movement is being co-opted. Okay, or let me say this: it was started by the wrong people, and people with good intentions could take it over. But in my opinion, after going to this thing, I don't think getting in the streets and demonstrating is going to do one single bit of good to change anything. The only thing it will do, and this is the good thing that it will do, it will bring attention to issues and make people notice. So it does have a use. But this is why I said when the Egyptian revolution, the Egyptian protests were going on, I said we have to watch and learn from this, okay? And to be honest, what I saw in New York City was no different than what I saw in Egypt, barring the amount of violence, okay? The falseness of the movement, the swaying of the people, being led by the Pied Pipers, why I opened the show with Symphony of Destruction, okay? I got a bad feeling about the whole thing when I was there. It didn't feel right to me by the end of it. By the end of it, and I think these guys agree, we just wanted to leave. We were good with it. I have no desire to go back there unless they're actually occupying Wall Street, not allowing bankers into banks, shutting down the stock exchange, shutting down the Federal Reserve. Now, I heard that the Occupy Boston, they were actually outside the Federal Reserve in Boston. There you go. That's what you do. That's how you do it. And you do it on weekdays, not the weekends. All right? That's when those people are in there trying to work, trying to steal everything from you. So let's go down this timeline. We had the $4 million donation by J.P. Morgan Chase on Friday. We had the march and then the bridge. In the New York Times, the headline was, "Shit hits the span." Okay, which was pretty good. Then, okay, we have that whole thing, the whole, fish in the net. I mean, I couldn't believe how easy it was to round up people like that. It was, to be honest with you guys, it was disheartening. It really, really was for me. I couldn't believe how dumb people were. But so anyway, I'm sorry. I'm hopping around because I'm shot. I don't think that this getting in the streets is going to do it like this. Okay, we're not going to make any changes like this. The only way that we're going to make a change is national boycotts of something. All right? Like if we picked a target, Bank of America. If all you people out there that do business with Bank of America pulled your money out and did business banking with local banks or local credit unions, if everybody across the country did this, that's a show of power. We are not going to show power with physical force or blocking traffic or marching around the streets with signs. This is exactly what the establishment wants, because I saw how easy it was to co-opt this whole thing. We all saw it Saturday. It was a piece of cake. It was too easy. Way too easy. So if we want to make changes, we need to hit them where it hurts, and that's in the pocketbook. We need to take the power back with our worthless dollars. So we need to pick a target. Now, this show isn't big enough, but if all of you out there take this, if we decide right now that that Bank of America is going to be the target, then let's start. And all of you on Facebook out there, start it on your Facebook pages. We can try to start this. And let's have a deadline. Everybody's money out of Bank of America. I mean, people, this bank holds at least 50% of all mortgages in the country for everything, for bicycles up to mansions, to jets, to boats, to cars, all debt, 50% or more. I mean, at least 50% is held by Bank of America. And now Bank of America's, you guys have seen this, they're imposing a $5 a month fee just to have one of their ATM cards. That alone should piss you off. You make them exist by putting your money into their bank. They have no power unless you give it to them. That is a much more effective tool for bringing down a system or showing the power that you have. So everybody out there, when you think you don't have any power, you have all the power, all of it. And I've said this since I started this show. This revolution can happen one of two ways. It will happen by violence in the streets and pulling triggers, which won't work out well for anybody because that is exactly what the 1% like to see. Because they don't care if the economy's down. They'll make money either way. All right? As a matter of fact, when the economy's down and there's more desperate people in the populace, it's easy to put your boot on their throats, and they will take anything you're willing to give, no matter how small. All right? Money and wealth in the public is power against the system, and they don't want you to have that. So if their divide and conquer techniques, have police fighting citizens, citizens fighting police, different citizen factions fighting each other, that is exactly what they want. You people think that what happened in Iraq, how destabilized Iraq is with the warring and the violence and the Sunnis versus the Shiites, which, by the way, have all agent provocateurs from the CIA and MI6 in them, dressing up as Sunnis, going into Shiite neighborhoods and shooting it up, and the opposite. There's the same thing here. It's how it rolls. And I saw it happen here Saturday. I saw it happen Saturday. So you want to know, this confirmed it for me. You want to take power, and guess what? You don't even have to go anywhere. You just do your normal thing. How easy is that? Just change your bank. Get out of Bank of America or any corporate bank. Chase Bank. I can't really think of them now, but you know if your bank is corporate or not. Okay? Go to your local level bank or credit union, pull your money out, okay, and open an account and start doing your banking business at the local level. Do it. That will scare the system a lot more than a bunch of people in the streets. All right. Here's the other aspect of what happened. We were all being videotaped while we were in that march. All right? If you look at my Ustream, you'll see a couple times police officers holding video cameras videotaping us as we walked by. All right? Now, they're not videotaping one individual, right? They just had the camera on in one spot and let the crowd pass through their field of view. Why did they do that? Anybody want to raise their hand? Oh, okay. I'll answer it. It's because all they'll do is they'll take that hard drive out of that camera, throw it into a computer, access their facial recognition database that links into Facebook, MySpace, your criminal records, DMV records, wherever your face is, okay, for anything, and they will start matching up through facial recognition everybody that was at that march. What a sucker I was. Let's take it one step further. Why would they do that? Well, I'm going to tell you why I think they would do that. And this is only my opinion, and I'm only guessing. About a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there was a lot of things circulating around about lists. The red list, the blue list, the yellow list. Okay? The red list is a governmental list. Now, if you don't think there's lists, just look at the Department of Homeland Security no-fly list. Okay? A few million people on that list. Women, children, doesn't matter. It's a list. Your government keeps lists on you. All right? So as I'm looking at this, I'm like, wow. All right. So they're going to get a readout. They're going to get a list of pretty much everybody who attended this. Then through, things like the fascist book that I'm on, they're going to see my face, my propaganda that I put out, my stance on the government, my view on things, and who knows if I'll end up on the red list or the blue list. Okay? The red list are the real threats to them, the people they want to get rid of first. The blue list is something that, okay, they'll wait a little while, and these people aren't quite as much of a threat as the red list, but they'll get them later. Okay? The yellow list is are people who will be put into a re-education process, meaning these people pretty much just go along with the whole flow. These are your average sheeple. They don't care about anything. They just want to be able to go, go to the store, buy their munchies, go home, sit down, watch, some stupid crap on television, and, they believe everything they see on Fox News and CNN. Okay? Those people will make the best worker drones. They'll make the best controlled populace. There's no other reason for videotaping the public. There is no other reason for videotaping us while we're there in that manner. It wasn't like the guy with the camera was trying to pick out the biggest troublemaker and getting him on film and trying to figure out that. No, it was a generic sweep of everybody. So what did I just do to myself by going there? Don't know. I'm going to tell you something else. While we were there and in the march, you remember I explained the police were about 2 feet out into the road as we were walking down the sidewalk. All right. Well, this police force, there was a guy who was very well dressed. Okay. One of those, kind of shark skin suits, the shiny material suits. I had a couple when I used to wear those things. I can't remember what it's called. Very nice suit, okay? You could tell it was very, very expensive. Wasn't a suit and tie. It was a casual suit because he had a regular kind of silk shirt on, not a button-up, but like a small turtleneck underneath it. Guy was well-dressed, sharp, okay? But it looked like that's not what he wears to work. He was a very big man, okay? And when I say big, he was probably about 6'4", very heavily muscled guy, big square jaw, tan, fancy slicked back haircut, and he had an umbrella that he had, and he had it next to him down like a walking stick. He was working with the police, keeping people on the sidewalk. He wasn't saying anything to anybody. He was conversing with the police, and it didn't look to me as though the police were telling him what to do or informing him of things. It looked as though he was informing them of things. Now, if you go to my last video that I put out, I believe it was shot at, I think the time is at 3:30 in the afternoon. At the 5-minute, 30-second mark in that video, you can see this guy. And I even make a comment to JJ and Jules. I go, what's with that guy? Or who's that guy? Or something like that. And I pan to him. The video's a little choppy, but you'll see him right around the 5:30 mark. I want to do some more investigating on this guy. I don't know if I got a clear enough shot to pull a still off the video and see his face. I don't know if I did. I have to go back and do it. But here's my take on that. We have a $4 million donation from JP Morgan Chase to the NYPD. This guy, in my opinion, most likely was private security hired by the banks to work with the NYPD. Blackwater type stuff. This guy looked hardcore. His face was rough. All right, he wasn't a pretty boy dressed in a suit. It looked like he put on that suit and didn't feel all that comfortable. It looked like he'd rather be in some combat boots and fatigues with weapons and blackface on his face for camouflage or something. Comment in chat, where are my videos? Jomer, if you just head over to the frontradio.net, there's a little TV kind of looking thing right up in the right-hand top part of the page. You click that, it'll bring you to my Ustream page, which is Front Stream on Ustream, and all the videos are there. Now, bear with me on the videos. I didn't know what I was doing. I was sleep deprived. There's a lot of, I tried to make it as entertaining as I possibly could, but, whatever. My first attempt. Bear with it. But anyway, So it appeared to me that this was a private security force working with the NYPD. So we have the big trap on the bridge. We have the Socialist Party infiltrating the movement. By the way, the Nazis were socialists, just in case anybody doesn't know that. I don't care what form of government you can't, in my opinion, you cannot tout a form of government. It makes no sense saying socialism is the way, communism is the way, democracy is the way, a republic is the way. It doesn't matter. All that matters is who's the guy on top. If I'm in a dictatorship, all right, or I'm in a communist society, and the guy at the top is, I don't know, think of some real nice guy, I don't know. I can't even think of a nice guy right now. But, somebody that doesn't hurt people, then I could be in a dictatorship. If the dictator, is just, dictating nothing but nice things for people, then a dictatorship would be great. Right? If the dictator demanded that people think for themselves, demanded that there is no crime, demanded that there is no corporate greed, that would be a great dictatorship. But you see, the thing is that people who want to be in charge want to be in charge. So I don't care if someone comes back and says, "Oh, well, Darren, you're downing this the Socialist Party here, and they want this. It's for the populace, and socialism's good for the workers, and blah 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 blah." You know what? Hitler didn't work out good for anybody, and Hitler was controlled. By the way, Soros worked in the concentration camps. Did you know that? Yes, he did. He used to help check in the concentration camp occupants. Said it was the best time of his life. Look it up. Okay, so we have the Socialist Party infiltrating this movement. We have OccupyWallStreet.org being started by Jewish Canadians. Just a little sketchy. Then we have the police force ready for all of us down at the bridge. And then we have the whole march walking into Brooklyn. Brooklyn has nothing to do with Wall Street. So, I don't care about Occupy Boston, Occupy whatever, until I see occupying a Federal Reserve or shutting down the banks as a show of citizen displeasure or citizen or people being unhappy and being treated unfairly, then I will not subject myself to what we went through or what we took part in at Occupation of Wall Street. It had nothing to do with Wall Street when we were there. Nothing to do with it. And you notice, everybody's like, well, hey, look, the media is really covering it now. Yeah, the media covered it when it was as far away from fucking Wall Street as it could get. They didn't cover it when it was down on Wall Street, did they? Nope, they covered it when it was on a bridge far away. Now, I had a friend of mine today say, well, those people, those demonstrators look like a bunch of assholes and they were, causing trouble and stuff. You know what? I'm sure if I'm part of the Socialist Party and my party has requested that I go down there and try to lead this movement right into the police, for the police, for the people that are funding my party, okay, which you could trace back to the bankers, then, and I'm going to go, provoke the police. I might take a little bit of a beating and get arrested. Big deal. My party's going to pay my fines, and they might even give me a little kickback. Maybe there's something in it for me. I don't know. Small price to pay, really, right? To make the entire thing look bad. Because when we were there, let me read you this. When we first got there during the day, these are the handouts that we got. March guidelines, okay? This is a handout that we got. And it was very specific about respect diversity of tactics, but be aware of how your actions will affect the group. This is a family-friendly march with children. Did you know there were children on that bridge? People with their kids? There was. So this was the mantra, okay? This is what was being handed out. Here, let me read you the march guidelines. Number 1, stay together and keep moving. Front of the march, move slow. Slow walkers are encouraged to be in the front. Back of march should stay tight, close the gaps. Remember, differently abled people are marching with us. Okay, so this is fairly conscientious. Number 2, do not instigate conflict with cops or pedestrians with physical violence. This is the attitude when we first got there, and I'm going to show you how it changed. Number 3, pacekeepers at the front, middle, and back of march are empowered by the General Assembly to facilitate cohesion and safety. 1, pacekeepers will guide the direction of the march. Do not hijack the route. Right? Exclamation point. Stay behind the front banner. Number 4, respect diversity of tactics or be aware of how your actions will affect the group. This is a family-friendly march with children. Legal info. 1, have a buddy. 2, look out for each other. 3, have each other's legal name, emergency contact info, and medical info. 4, have identification. You can be held for 72 hours if arrested without it. Then 5, National Lawyers Guild. It gave a number, 212-679-6018. If you want that number, if you're planning on going to a protest, just email me. I'll send it to you. They can be called for legal assistance. They even have something, write this number somewhere on your body so you can call it if you get arrested. And then on the other side of the pamphlet, it just had the chants that the marchers would chant as they marched down the street. So that was the type of propaganda that we were being handed when we first got there. Now, let's look at the propaganda I was handed about 10 minutes before we started marching. Has a star in the upper left-hand corner, just one star. Okay, the police are not your friends. They are only to serve. They are there only to serve and protect the elites and their wealth. The reality is that communities of color all over New York City are under constant occupation by the NYPD. They patrol their streets, arrest and kill their youth, collaborate with ICE to deport their loved ones, and subject them to humiliating, quote, stop and frisks on a daily basis. Not just in their communities, but wherever they go. Police are at war with communities of color because they are the most exploited and, therefore, they have the greatest reason to resist. Some of us know this from our own lived experiences. So long as there is a capitalist state that thrives on racist oppression, there will be a need for police force to protect it. Only by resisting the police and exposing their role can you join with the rest of the 99% who do not have the privilege of being friends with the pigs. No justice, no peace, fuck the police. With revolutionary love and solidarity, take the Gates Collective. That is bad, okay? The police have to be our friends. Listen, you're never going to get all of them, okay? But the police are part of the 99%. And it's very important. Now, like I said on the show before, if the bankers didn't have the police on their side, what would they do? That's why it's very, very important to talk to police and get them on our side. This type of propaganda is divide and conquer. Those police are in the same income bracket as almost all of us, okay? They're trying to feed their families. Can they be assholes? Without a doubt. Do I want to hang out with any? Not at all, okay? But it goes beyond my personal thing. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us. And the police have to be educated, and they have to be convinced, and they have to be made to understood that their money, their pensions, their retirement funds are all in jeopardy like everybody else's. And they will be taken, and they are just being used right now for what they're good for. Down the road, they'll get rid of these people. They'll keep the hardcore ones, the ones that love to hurt, the ones that love to oppress. They'll move up in ranks. Just look at any cop shooting, okay? Any famous cop shooting. Look, the officers down the road usually get promoted. Okay, but that's not coming from the police that you see every day. That's coming from the top. So that's the type of propaganda that was being handed out just prior to the march. That's inciting things. That's not what this was about. And that's how the media is portraying it right now. So as far as I know, from what I've been told, I may be wrong. And if I am, you're free to call in, 917-889-3064. I probably should have given that number out already. But anyway, so this movement was subverted. And that's why I don't think that this type of protesting is going to work as far as making a change. The only thing it's good for is doing its Ron Paul imitation and being a lightning rod for issues. That's it. No change will be made like this. It's my opinion. Now, when I look at this other piece of propaganda, they were shooting live streaming video all day on the live stream website / Global Revolution. If you guys want to go, I'm pretty sure they've been streaming live for the majority of the time. It's live stream. livestream.com / Global Revolution. Now, let's just talk about this for a second. These are the same people that own the OccupyWallStreet.org website. Now, as far as COINTELPRO goes, which is using agent provocateurs to subvert a movement, okay, or an idea, if I'm the bad guys and I want to cause destabilization in the United States to impose martial law down the road, which is what all of our military and police, Department of Homeland Security, NORTHCOM, FEMA has all been training for years because they know it's coming. If I want to destabilize a nation, which is what we did in Iraq, what we've done in Afghanistan, what we're doing in Libya, so on and so on, then I would start the movement undercover, like Occupy Wall Street. This is a peaceful occupation, okay? It's peaceful. So show up, it's going to be peaceful. Because a lot of people don't want to show up and have it be violent. So we'll show up, it's going to be peaceful. Now, once I get your ass there, now I'll send in my bad guys to start subverting it and start making all the nice people I had show up look real bad. So they fund both sides of the movement, okay? Just like we fund both sides of all the conflicts that we're in all over the place, okay? The Libyan rebels, for example, which is NATO forces, which are American soldiers, which is Al-Qaeda, all mixed together into one melting pot that the media is shoving down your throats under the term rebels because, you know, movies like the Star Wars series have rebels as being the good guys. So the rebels are always fighting against tyranny, oppression, so the rebels must be the good guys, when really the rebels are slaughtering people. So it's the controlling of both sides. And that's why, when I saw how easy it was, that's when I knew for sure that this can't change anything. The only way, and I don't think this is the best way, the only way people in the streets are going to be able to change anything, and honestly it probably wouldn't change anything, but for the only way that they could actually maybe put fear into the controllers at the top is through flash mobs appearing at corporate banks, or, and I'm not talking about your local Bank of America branch. I'm talking, you know, the Bank of America corporate building in downtown Manhattan, which I spelled wrong. I'm sorry. Not on Blog Talk Radio show description, but on Facebook spelled it wrong. Sorry. Anyway, public schooling people. So I do the best I can. Would be a flash mob to, you know, I mean, physically bust into these buildings. The people on the front of those lines, there's going to be violence. People are going to get hurt, okay? But that's the only way that that type of thing would be effective. I'm not condoning that. I don't think that's what you should do. I don't think that's what anybody should do. But I'm just talking about as far as people in the streets. So again, after seeing what I saw Saturday, the best way for us to make our voices heard and to be the most powerful and influential that we can possibly be is to use our money and not give it to them. It's very simple. All it takes you is a couple hours out of one of your days to pull your money, pull your accounts out of corporate banks and put them in at the local level. Will it be a little bit of an inconvenience for you? Yes. But trust me, it's going to be a lot more inconvenient when you're starving on the fucking street. And here's another thing I have to say. Anybody pointing at anybody in any of these marches and calling them lazy, 100% wrong. It's pretty damn draining. And I was only there for a few hours, never mind 14 days. Oh, by the way, you can see I was interviewing this younger girl with pinkish hair and who had been there since day one. And she said that the core group is planning on staying into December. I don't know why they picked December to stay until. I cannot. I would be surprised if they're allowed to stay there until December. Now, I know that Liberty Plaza is privately owned. There was word when we first got there, we started asking people, hey, we heard that the owners, and I forget who they are right now. My recall is crap at the moment. But we heard that the owners were getting ready to have people thrown out. Then people at Liberty Plaza said, no, they said that we could stay here, if we were peaceful or something like that, I guess. But look, the only thing that has to happen for those people to get hurt real bad by the police, because you don't know what these cops are being, you don't know the propaganda they're being, what's being fed into their, fluoridated sheeple minds. I mean, you're not dealing with real bright people here, honestly. You're dealing with people who are on a little bit of a power trip, most of them. There was some nice cops we talked to. They weren't all bad, that's for sure. They weren't all being dickish. Some of them were being cool. Some were like, please just move along, and they were saying it like, please don't make me have to put on a show for my commander kind of thing. Is the impression I got. But all that has to happen is the police can send in, the bankers can send in, any group like a Socialist Soros group. They can send in some agent provocateurs to start throwing stuff at police, attack police, and that'll give police the green light to go beat the crap out of everybody and end the whole thing. So it's just too fragile. It's just too fragile, in my opinion. Okay? And since nobody called in to the show, I guess my opinion's good enough for right now. So you just have to take my opinion. That's the only opinion you'll get. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I missed about this whole thing. Here's some more propaganda that was handed out towards the beginning of the march. All about the Black Coalition. And again, anytime we start mentioning race into this thing, it just causes divide and conquer. There, like I've said a million times in this program, there's nobody that you guys saw today out and about in your life, in your daily activities. Today, yesterday, nobody you're going to see tomorrow, nobody you talk to, nobody, okay? Not even, well, I won't even say people on TV because I can't really verify that. But nobody that you've seen today is not in the 99 percentile. So we're all in this together. There cannot be any racial division. That is too easy for them. It's too easy. There can't be any political division. You know, people ask me, you know, so what's the solution? You know, I don't really know. You know, I think it would manifest itself, but I do know what the problem is, and we have to get rid of the problem before we can put in a solution. I mean, one of the solutions is to get rid of interest altogether, which is usury, compounding interest, the debt-based system. It can't be. You know, there's a great when I first got to Wall Street, I took a picture and I put it up on the Front's Facebook page, and it said the system isn't broken. I took a picture of a sign, a hand-painted sign on the ground. It said the system isn't broken. It was built this way. It's 100% true. That's why going through the normal channels in this system isn't going to work. And that's why we have to use the drug we were handed to control us as a society. We have to use this drug against them. And that's our money. You know, look, I know most people are lazy. Most people, you know, you want to come to a show like this, you want to listen, you poke around on the internet. I'm guilty of all these things too, people. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal here, so please don't think I'm doing that. You know, poke around on the internet, watch some videos, you know, talk to some friends, you know, get pissed off, start a radio show like this, bitch behind the microphone, you know, all that stuff. That's all great, okay, because it helps to inform people. But we have to use our money. That's our most powerful weapon. So, I would love, you know, if I could get some feedback and get some ideas of who you guys think the number one target should be. I personally think it should be Bank of America right now because it's a hot button with this $5 a month charge they decided to put out. You know, we can feed off of that. We can get people, because people are upset about it, we can get them to look deeper into it and maybe ask them to pull out of Bank of America. Get out of there. Why should you hand a bank your money, get charged for having your money in the bank? They act like they're doing you a favor by holding on to your money that they multiply by 9 and hand out and loan on that fake, you know, times 9 amount. So if you put in $100, they count that $100 in their account as $900 or $1,000 because they've added another $900 to it, and they loan money out on that phantom $900 that they made off of your $100, and then they charge you for keeping your money there as they're making money on the loans from the money they loaned out from your money. And then they have the balls to charge a $5 a month fee. That should be reason enough. Don't use Bank of America ATMs. You know, if you don't have an account at Bank of America and someone writes you a Bank of America check and you go in there to cash it, you know that they make you put your thumbprint on the check. This happened to me 2 years ago. I almost got arrested in Bank of America. I was so pissed off. I told the girl, she was all of 20, you know, not a clue in the world, and couldn't believe I was pissed about having to put my thumbprint on a check. I said, why do I have to do this? Well, so we know it's you. It's for security, so we know it's you. I said, you have my license. She goes, no, anybody can duplicate these. I said, can you duplicate this license? You know, the new licenses we were handed because the other ones were too easy to duplicate. I said, how would you duplicate this license there, sweet cheeks? I didn't call her that, but how would you duplicate that? You know, and then I was just some crazy guy, you know, causing a scene in there. So let's get rid of that. Has nothing to do with security. It has to do with tracking your financial history. Listen, these people, the bankers, want the American dollar to go away. They want to crash the economy because what they will introduce next is a total trackable financial system. You will not be able to buy, sell, or anything without them knowing about it, which means you will be taxed on everything. And you will be taxed as they see fit, not as you see fit. And your money will your taxes will probably be taken out of your money electronically before you even see it. So you'll just be left with whatever they feel you're allowed to be left with. So don't think that these people want to save the dollar. They don't. You got to crash them with that dollar before they bring in the New Deal. All right, everybody. I hope I gave some insight into what happened. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email at thefront@live.com. Or leave a comment on the Front's YouTube account or whatever you need to do. But please ask me more questions and I'll follow up the best I can. Other than that, thank you all for listening. Let's get that Bank of America boycott going, and everybody stay safe, and I'll see you all on Thursday. And like I heard a wise man say yesterday, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. All right?
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.